Hi guys, it's terrible weather here today, but sorry, apologies for any sound that you might hear, but this is a bonus video, I guess, not one of my regular videos, which is my wrap up and haul from the Conflux convention here in Canberra, which is the Canberran Speculative Fiction Convention. Conflux tends to be more writer focused than fan focused, but I go anyway because it's my local convention and there's still plenty of panels that I'm interested in. And I get to see friends and socialise for 4 days, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, this year, in terms of panels, there were a few interesting ones. Unfortunately, some of the ones that I was really interested in got derailed a lot, and I'm not sure if there's a lot that the convention can actually do about that derailment. There were two or three men, I should say, that were in the audience of nearly every panel that I went to, and it was the same people every time, and they kept derailing the panels with their own opinions, with completely random tangents that weren't anything to do with the actual question being asked. And it's really frustrating when that happens. In some panels it was handled a lot better with, when there was a moderator that was quite firm. But in some panels, the panel would just start to get onto an interesting topic and then it would be derailed, and it was really, really frustrating. But yeah, I don't know what the solution is. There was some interesting discussion, and in particular, I had a lot of fun squeeing. There was a panel on the Saturday afternoon that was about celebrating the 30th anniversary of The Labyrinth, the film, and that was really good. Thoraya Dyer was one of the panelists, and she actually brought like a mask that she'd made of the fireys, and we just had a lot of fun, and we played some music and had a bit of a sing-along and talked about what we loved about the films, so that was really good. And on the Sunday, there was a number of really good panels. Tansy Rabarts and came up to launch her book, and she and Tehani had a whole slew of panels. There was a Doctor Who in conversation with Tansy, Tehani and David McDonald, which I really liked listening to because they're all people I like listening to talk, and it was mostly really positive. And then straight after that, they did a Verity Down Under live podcast recording, which was also really fun, that had Tehani and Tansy and guest Kate Ormond, who wrote a lot of the books during the so-called wilderness years. And after that, there was a DC versus Marvel cinematic universes panel, which was really interesting. Yeah, so there was a lot of good stuff. There was a book launch, so Tansy's book launch, which I've mentioned, which was really good. A lot of really good socialising. I did go to the banquet, and it was a little bit disappointing because there was a big kerfuffle involving those of us who have special dietary requirements, and that wasn't the con's fault, that was the hotel's fault. So that wasn't brilliant. But yeah, I had a really good time, and I ended up with a lot of stuff. If I just lift this up, yes, so many books. So first up with my freebies, I acquired a few new bookmarks, mostly advertising, but this one I really like. It's for next year's Conflux. The art was done by Shauna O'Meara, who I know, and it's really pretty, and the theme for next year is Grim Tales, which I'm really looking forward to, so that was nice. Then in my goodie bag, I got 3 free books, which, like, gotta love free books. So I got a copy of The Three Body Problem, and I'm going to, like, absolutely murder this, but by Cixin Liu, I don't know how to pronounce that, and translated by Ken Liu. I'm actually partway through this. I had got an e-copy, and wow, that rain's getting loud. I had an e-copy from the Hugo Voters packet last year, which I am partway through, but now I have a hard copy, which is really nice, so I'll probably switch to reading this next time I pick it up. So yeah, hopefully I'll make some progress on this soon. For those that don't know, Three Body Problem is like a hard science fiction Chinese. It's set in China. There's a lot of communist history and a lot of actual physics. The Three Body Problem is actually a physics problem. So it's really cool. It's hard work to read, but really cool. My second free book was After the Rain, edited by Tehani Wessely. This is one of the very earliest Fablecroft Press publishing books, and it's one that I didn't already have and I haven't read yet. So it's an anthology, and the back says, the aftermath of rain, be it showers, storms or floods, can change the landscape. In this book, 15 of Australia's best and brightest speculative fiction authors offer literal and figurative interpretations of what follows rain, in this reality and in others. From the earliest of Bible stories to World War II Germany, from tiny creatures grown from raindrops to alien planets and future worlds, After the Rain considers the changes rain can bring if one steps slightly left of reality. So, yeah, I'm not actually sure who's in this. If I flick to the table of contents, Joanne Anderton, that's the name I recognise. Jason Narung, Thoraya Dyer, Lee Battersby, Peter M. Ball, Kathleen Jennings, Robert Hogue, Dirk Flinthart, and a few others. So yeah, I'm sure I'll love it. I usually love Fablecroft books, so that's really awesome. And then my last free book was this one called The Outcasts, which is edited by Nicole R. Murphy, and it is an anthology of exiles and strangers. This is one of the Canberra Science Fiction Guild's anthologies. I think it's an old one. I think it's from like 2006. I haven't actually read any of the CSFG books. I do have one other one that I bought last year, but yeah, so that might be interesting. Yeah, Strangers and Exiles, interesting theme. And then I bought a whole bunch of books, particularly I bought them on the Sunday. So, to start with, I got At the Edge, edited by Dan Rabarts and Lee Murray. I went to the book launch of this, and this is actually a autographed copy. I'm not actually sure who autographed it, probably the people that were actually at, just dropped something, at the launch. But this is a mostly New Zealand based anthology that's just been published. There's a couple of Australian authors in it as well. From the brink of civilization, the fringe of reason, and the border of reality, these stories are infused with the bloody-minded spirit of the Antipodes. Tales told by the children of warriors and whalers, convicts and miners, people unafraid to strike out for new territories and find meaning in the expanses at the edge of the world. So that sounds really interesting. Sounds very Australian, New Zealand. And I have not read much New Zealand speculative fiction, so I'm really keen to have a look at that. I bought the next few books completely on a whim. So I picked up Hack by Kieran Crowley. I'm not entirely sure what this is about, but the back says journalism, narcissism, and cannibalism, which, okay, that sounds interesting. So it's a dog-eat-dog world at the infamous tabloid The New York Mail, where brand new pet columnist FX Shepherd accidentally finds himself on the trail of the hacker, a serial killer targeting unpleasant celebrities in inventive and sometimes decorative ways. And it's only his second day on the job. Luckily, Shepherd has hidden talents, not to mention a hidden agenda, but as bodies and suspects accumulate, he finds himself running afoul of cutthroat office politics, the NYPD, and Ginny Mac, an attractive but ruthless reporter for a competing newspaper. And when Shepherd himself is contacted by the hacker, he realises he may be next on the killer's list. That's probably why I picked it up. It sounded like a sort of a crime romp with a bit of journalism. So I picked that up on a whim, and I'm sure I'll pick it up and read it at some point. Should be cool. And then the other one I picked up on a whim was The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. I think Daniel O'Malley is a fairly local Canberra author, if I'm remembering correctly. And I think the second one in the series, Stiletto, has just come out. But like the tagline at the top says, on Her Majesty's Supernatural Secret Service. So from what I understand, it's a book involving this supernatural secret service in Britain. And I think the main character, Mafanway, wakes up with her memory gone, and she's left herself clues to find her memory, and there's supernatural shenanigans and spy shenanigans. So, you know, it sounded like fun, so hopefully I'll pick that up at some point soon. And then the books that, you know, I was waiting for, oh no, there's a couple of other ones that I bought on a whim first, sorry. This one is the book one of a series, and it's called Heart of Brass by Felicity Banks. I saw Felicity on a panel that was about steampunk beyond British borders, and from what I understand, her series, this one, is about steampunk in Australia. And it says, you know, and when I say Australia, I mean like early colonial Australia. From what it says, Emmeline Muchamore is a well-bred young lady hiding explosive family secrets. She needs to marry well and quickly in order to keep her family respectable. But when her brass heart malfunctions, she makes a desperate choice to steal the parts she needs to repair it and survive. She's unable to explain her actions without revealing she has a steam-powered heart, so she is arrested for theft and transported to Victoria, Australia, right in the midst of the gold rush. Now that she's escaped the bounds of high society, iron manacles cannot hold her for long. The only metal that really matters is gold. So it sounds really interesting. Female protagonist, steampunk, which, you know, totally up my alley. Set in Australia, which is not something I've read a lot of, but I would really like to. So I'm really looking, I think it's YA, and I'm also, so it's not very long, but I'm really looking forward to trying that. And the other one that I am looking forward to trying is Songlines, which is book one of The Sentinels of Eden by Carolyn Denman. And this is another Australian one, and I'm pretty sure it deals with Indigenous Australian issues, which is why I picked it up. And it's set in Victoria, where an ancient gateway to Eden is kept hidden. And then a mining company comes along, apparently, and starts threatening that gateway. And there's a whole bunch of stuff about the characters' Indigenous heritage and, you know, how they're going to protect this gateway to Eden. So, yeah, it sounds really interesting. I'll be interested to see how well it portrays Indigenous kind of issues. And yeah, so I picked that up on a whim as well. And then, okay, now it's time for the two books that I was actually planning on buying. And they are Bounty and Ink Black Magic, which are by Tansy and Rabarts. Ink Black Magic I already have and have already read, but I only had an e-copy, and the cover is gorgeous. And also, I think I might have mentioned it in the previous video, Fablecroft is going on a hiatus, which meant I wanted to pick up a hard copy as soon as possible because I'm going to miss Fablecroft. But this is the third book in the Mocklaw Chronicles, and this was the book that Tansy launched on the weekend, which is called Bounty, and it's a collection of short stories set in the Mocklaw universe. You know, I love the Mocklaw Chronicles. I did a review of the original 3 books the other weekend, a couple of videos ago, so about a week and a half ago. So you can check that out if you want to know more. But, you know, it's lady pirates and it's magic and it's hilarious. So I'm really looking forward to picking up Bounty and reading some more of that world. So with this, you know, amazing cover. What does it say on the back? It's not easy to make an honest living in the tiny magical empire of Mocklaw. Bounty Finetra isn't a bounty hunter. Delta Void isn't a mercenary. But trouble follows them both everywhere they go. 6 stories of adventure, magic, chaos, and chainmail lingerie where fairy tales are bad for your love life and shoes can solve anything. So totally is up my alley. Really looking forward to picking that up soon. And so those are the books that I acquired at Conflux, which was a really fun weekend, apart from a few frustrations. But, you know, it's my local con, and I love going and seeing everyone and listening to people talk about spec fic and having random geeky conversations in the bar and over the dinner table. You know, everything from, you know, Australian politics to Tudor monarchs to, you know, fairy tales and folklore. So was really happy to see everybody, and yeah, I guess I better stop this video here. That was my Conflux weekend. Bye.